Hello all, this is Marie Elliott with Platform Q Education. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join me. I hope you find today's webinar insightful and you walk away with a few nuggets to benefit your recruitment strategy. Much of higher education and research discussion these days really centers around Gen Z. But I know you're here today because you see the great need our institutions have to redirect some of that focus onto engaging adults and matriculating them into both undergraduate and graduate levels. For those that didn't catch my bio, I spent the last decade in admissions, from small liberal arts colleges to medium public state university, as a traditional undergraduate admissions counselor to international credentialing, and I spent the last 4.5 years working specifically with graduate recruitment, business development, and operations. Last year, I joined Platform Q to bring my experience and knowledge to a fantastic company having a larger impact on enrollment with a wide variety of partner institutions. For those of you that are not yet familiar with Platform Q, I'd like to offer just a brief high-level overview. We initially were founded to assist enrollment offices in engaging students online through online college fairs. And working with our educational partners over the last 15 years, we've moved more to customized individual online events, from admissions to financial aid to student life, and providing expertise in engaging strategy to help reach populations from graduate, undergraduate, international, inquiry to admit. And our online platform, which you're on today, by the way, truly hosts a best-in-class experience for the enrollment management staff and the students that we serve. If you'd like to know more about it, or if you have questions throughout today's presentation, feel free to hop on chat with my colleague, Dave. Dave, thank you for manning the chat. I cannot present and type and answer questions at the same time. I'll be joining Dave after the presentation, so stick around and join the discussion. All right, so today in the webinar, I'd like to cover some background on why Gen Z is great, but it's not the most important for many of our programs and institutions moving forward. We want to know why graduate and adult students are such an important part of your overall strategy, and how Gen X and Millennial differ from Gen Z, not only as a generation, but more specifically in their interest in online content, the way that they consume social media, and the way that they use the internet in general. And then I'm also going to go into strategy and showcase some unique ways that you can engage those two important groups of your future students. We gathered data from EduVentures, NCES, iPads, and a variety of different social media and internet research organizations. And a few of these top statistics really stood out. Among undergraduate students today, this is just undergrad, 40% are 25 years or older, 40%. So definitely a population you shouldn't be ignoring. And 28% of those have kids. And if you're like me, you know how hard it is to balance work and family and school and community organizations, and having time to research what your next steps might be is kind of hard to do. So when are they going to have time, and how are they going to get information? Important things to keep note of. The biggest area of untapped need for your undergraduate recruitment, if that last bit didn't tell you, is that there are 36 million Americans who do not have a completed college degree, but they've started with at least some college classes. So your recruitment of adult learners needs to be an integral part of your recruitment strategy. They're out there, and the challenge, of course, is that reaching millennials and Gen X proves to be a difficult part of your strategy because they're living a fragmented life. They've got schedules all over the place, and they consume media differently. When looking specifically at graduate programs, they have exploded in the online market. There's been an increase of over 40% of new online graduate degrees offered over the last 7 years. Your adult learners in the graduate space have busy lives and they need these online programs. So certainly if you're one of the institutions that has those, that's great. If you're one of those institutions that's considering it, I would highly suggest it. For those of you that don't yet have it, keep in mind that these people might still be looking at your programs that are in person, right? But they might be needing to get information about it in an online concept. So how do you meet those needs within your recruitment strategy? And the total post-bac enrollment has increased drastically since 2000. It was 36% increase between 2000 and 2010, and it added another 2% between 2010 and 2017. And they're looking at another growth of at least 3% through the year 2028. So graduate students and these adult learners are definitely growing, and it's kind of evenly split between those that want a full-time program and those that want a part-time program. And I'm guessing most of you have undergraduate recruitment counterparts, or you're one of those lucky ones that wears many hats and recruits for both sides. We all know that Gen Z population cliff is coming, that finding those traditional high school students is getting harder and harder to do, and competition between institutions is growing. So finding a way to really cater what you are doing for adult populations is the way to go. In the fall of 2017, more than 1/3 of total post-bac students participated in distance education, and 29% were completely online. So don't ignore the internet, right? So how are you reaching your students? And how are they doing that research? You better believe if they're going to an online program, they're doing their school research online as well. And they're likely moving through the entire enrollment funnel online. So your online engagement should have 2 main objectives when it comes to supporting your graduate and adult online students: lead generation and enrollment conversion, right? The 2 sides of the funnel that really make an impact on your goals. Did you know that over 80% of Gen X and Millennial students and adults spend time on social media every single day? Gen X spends about 7 hours a week, according to a 2017 Nielsen study. 7 hours a week on social media. Don't ignore them. They're there. Nearly 80% of internet traffic is video. So if you don't have video as part of your content strategy, go talk to Dave over on chat and see how we can help you with that. That's certainly something that if you haven't started yet, you're behind. YouTube is king, obviously, the greatest content of internet video. I know that YouTube spends a lot of time on at my house with my kiddo, so I spend a lot of time on my own on video as well. YouTube is definitely the largest consumption of social media, not only in the US, but in the world. And according to Pew Research, more US adults use YouTube more than any other social media platform. With Gen Z, you know, they've got their fancy brand new social media platforms that we're all trying to learn how to tick and talk, right? But they really have just a couple social media platforms that they live on and spend the majority of their time, whereas millennials and Gen X, we use a lot more and we vary our time. And we definitely have a big split between Gen Z and Gen X and millennials between things like preference on ads and higher data privacy and a stronger sense of information control. Recruitment of high school students, while the strategy tactics have changed a little bit, is still pretty straightforward, right? We buy testing lists, we visit high schools and college fairs, we meet with counselors at schools, we talk with their parents when they come onto campus. It kind of still looks the same, even though many other things have changed. And we know how to identify when they're going to matriculate, right? They graduate high school, they take the summer off maybe, and then they start right away in the fall. There's that linear movement of they're graduating high school, they're going to start college, and they know when. But when it comes to recruiting adults, it's so different. They're everywhere, they're at work, they're parents, they're engaged in their community, they move addresses, they change their phone numbers. They don't just walk around with a letter jacket on and saying, here I am, I'm interested. And it makes it a lot harder to find these students. So whether your strategy includes meeting with business owners, or maybe it's trying to find those people that left your institution and want to come back, or maybe it's just putting up billboards and hoping for the best. Graduate recruitment is definitely a different animal. And how do you integrate that strategy into your overall recruitment plan that for many of you includes still trying to reach those high school students? Each adult learner is different in the path that they take to get to you. Some of them might spend years researching, going back to college someday, maybe, potentially, when they're less busy, which, spoiler alert, you never get less busy. So video is what they want, right? They've told you that with their internet consumption. They want to have content on demand whenever it fits into their schedule. So utilizing short topic-specific videos allows you to share valuable content for students to access at their convenience. And then running simulive videos alongside a chat for students that connect people and the information, but it allows you to allocate your resources wisely and reuse great presentations for different audiences without having to record it over and over again. This allows you to use your staff, whether it is your student life or your financial aid or your admissions or your registrar's office, you get them all at once and you don't have to keep calling them, which we all know is difficult to get them all in the same room at the same time for an on-campus event, right? So you can record these when it's convenient for them and then have that content available for students when it's convenient for them. Another great tip, having different sections of your content for different parts of your recruitment funnel, right? You want to allow students or future students to find the content they need for the particular step they're in the process. You don't want to overwhelm an inquiry with a video on how to order your books. And you don't want to make an admitted student sift through content on how to submit transcripts. So customize their experience with your institution and show that you truly understand their needs. Those of us that navigate the graduate and adult recruitment cycle know that they really don't present in a funnel like graduates or undergraduate students do. It's more like a pipe or sometimes a lazy river. Either the student has done their online research and they're ready to go, they're committed to enrolling and they know when they want to start and they have employer and family support and it's just a smooth process, or they might ask you questions and think about it and ask you more questions and think about it and research for years. So the graduate strategy is so much different than working with undergraduate students, which is why you need a completely different engagement strategy that is focused on why they are a special and important part of your strategy. So what are other schools doing to move the needle on their graduate and adult enrollment numbers? We've got some examples. Stevens Institute of Technology hosted a current student panel at 8 a.m. That might sound crazy to you, to have adults who have busy lives coming together at 8 a.m., but it depends on your programs, right? If many of your students are international or they work jobs that they don't have a traditional 8 to 5 schedule, it might be a great time. So knowing your audience is vital. Stevens saw a great turnout of international graduate students, which was a particular part of who they were inviting to this program. And the split was pretty even between those that tuned in live and those that tuned in later to watch the pre-recorded webcast. So utilizing online video and then reusing it on demand, they were able to reach an audience they clearly never would have been able to get on campus for a visit day, and probably were unlikely to get via phone call or going through a 10 email thread to answer questions. So it's a better use of time for them as well. They were able to field questions on their chat, and they provided valuable information that would have taken their staff several calls and emails and missed opportunities to get to. When a student's ready to learn information, they're ready to learn information. Student feedback from the event showed that they felt it was highly informative, and they loved the authentic voices of current students that they were able to hear from. We all know the student voice is important, and utilizing that in video is integral in being able to connect and hopefully matriculate your target audience. All these touch points that help with higher admitted student yield and couldn't be possible through your traditional old school methods. Our next example is Babson. Babson College used a live video discussion to welcome newly admitted graduate students this spring. Of those invited, nearly 50% attended, either in person or watched an in-demand content feed later. How many of your emails get a 50% response? Phone calls? 50%? Your in-person events for admitted students, you get 50% of the people invited to show up, right? Maybe not. Video is reaching people you haven't been able to reach previously. Babson used faculty, which again, we know is sometimes hard to all get in a room together for recruitment events. And this was a huge event. Students loved it. They echoed how helpful it was to hear from their future faculty and how it eased some of their fears of knowing that they were approachable and that they could be reached if the student had any questions. That's all the content I have for today. I put my contact information on the screen for you as well. So if you want to follow up on any of the research we did or any of the topics we covered today, just let me know. I'm also going to hop on the chat with Dave, so we'll be able to field any of your questions for the rest of the hour. And I'm glad that we were able to join you today. I'm glad you were able to take a little bit of time out of your busy schedule to learn more and look at some of these examples of schools that have found ways to reach graduate and adult students in the ways that they prefer and the times that they prefer in a method that gets results. I hope that you found these insights to be actionable, right? It's good to get information, but I hope you're able to find a way to integrate that into your enrollment strategy. Make sure to keep an eye out for future webinars on a variety of enrollment and engagement strategy topics. Thanks.